He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick got up third down.
Winky looking Winky. Wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He does a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that?
Herman Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Herman Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, FSU. Herman Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown.
Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other. It's caught. It's caught. It's caught.
For the end zone battle. Coleman. Touchdown.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
Wait for the music to end.
I'm getting into it.
We're struggling, man. We're struggling.
No, I was getting into the mood. I was getting in the groove.
Yeah, grooving.
A wonderful Thursday night show. Garnet and Old. No inside info. No contacts. No problem, Vince.
No problem.
It's been a good week. I don't know about you, everyone out there, Vince. I'm sure the same with you. But when Florida State wins, just makes the work week easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just telling you off air that I've been hammering to the wall trying to get some particular projects done at work, but I've been doing it with a smile on my face, basking in the glow of what occurred on Sunday evening. So we're all still feeling that. And you can see it on our faces, right? Ryan, you have a nice glow about you this evening.
Yeah, and for all of you that are wondering, I mean, all this, man, it's Apple AI, man. It's incredible in iOS 17. So
Here's my
the
dog.
lighting is amazing, and I don't have to do anything. There's no light here in front of me. Nothing.
Yeah. So this week, by the way, if you've been paying attention, Ryan did a solo show earlier this week, and then I did one yesterday. Just some stuff we're kind of trying out, try to get some more content out there. And if you like it, let us know. Send an email in, chat with us on Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Ryan and I are everywhere all the time, all the damn time.
My favorite thing of the night so far is that, we always join to talk pregame on the show about 10, 15 minutes early, and the dog did not start barking until we started. It's like he knows. He's a fan of Garnet Old.
Well, the big dogs are barking, Ryan.
The big dogs are barking. Well, I know we both gave our own takes, but there was a little bit of fallout, Vince, from the game involving Mr. Brian Kelly. So Brian Kelly goes on, in a press conference, and they ask him about the quote about him, LSU is going to kick Florida State's butt. And he stands up there and says, listen, you know me, I'm very careful with my words. I would not have said something like that. So that's, not true. And then all the videos on Twitter that followed where it's like that, and then they followed up with the clip is amazing. I mean, what is he doing?
I mean, you just got to own it. Like if you're going to do that and, if you're going to say words out loud that can come back to bite you, and we see it on Twitter all the time, X or whatever you want to call it this week. Someone posts something and they put themselves out there and people bookmark it because they're going to come back and call you on that if things don't work out the way you expect them to. You know what? And we just have to take a stand every now and then. If it doesn't work out, just own it and wear it. But no, he is not. He's going to crawl into his shell and claim that he didn't say it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then we had, on the same kind of awkward moments from coaches, Dabo Sweeney, a couple things after that horrible loss to Duke, which, by the way, I didn't intend to stay up till midnight that night because it was not a school night, a work night. School night a long time ago, but a work night. I anticipated, Vince, going into that Duke Clemson game, that the game would be in hand for Clemson probably by halftime. But then when you start seeing those kind of upsets happen, you, as a college football fan, you just can't go to bed. You're like, you feel obligated. You have to at least see it to the point in which it's out of hand. And I was watching until the 28-point score, and then I was like, all right, well, it's definitely over now. And then Dabo after the game, the comments about the offensive coordination, and he's like, we didn't bring him in to run his offense. We brought him in to run Clemson's offense. And then he threw his quarterback under the bus for making wrong reads in front of the public. So Vince, cracks forming, don't you think?
Well, and they have been forming, and a lot of people have been mentioning that over the past few years or so. And then, if you didn't pay attention, maybe you did. The quarterback that decided to peace out and go west, his dad went on social media and kind of called out the staff there. So
Hmm.
yeah, all things are not all right in Clemson. And Dabo once said a number of years ago that he wouldn't be taking any advice from the people down in Tallahassee. Um, we'll just oh how the turntables.
Oh, how the turntables indeed. And it's listen, we've been feeling like we sat in a room together, Vince, when we were working the same place. And I remember when Brett Venables took the Oklahoma job, and I turned around, and at the time it was you, me, and one other person who talks about a South Carolina fan. So I'm sure he's having a rough week this week at work. Um, and I mentioned I really felt like a lot of what made Clemson Clemson during the big run was generational quarterbacks, of course, like
Mhm.
Trevor Lawrence and all and people, Deshaun Watson,
Yeah.
but that defense that Brett Venables ran, and the year after he left, it was still like it seemed pretty darn elite.
Well, they still had dudes.
Yeah, but the farther you get separated from that, you saw this similar to Charles Kelly at Florida State when we had what's his name that went on to
Pruitt.
be a head Pruitt, yeah, Jeremy Pruitt. The next year was still pretty good, and we're like, okay. And the farther removed you got from that style, the worse and worse it became. So I really feel like the end is near. Vincent, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not so sure Clemson doesn't lose 5 games this year. Based
Oh,
if
five.
that's
Yeah.
that's
You
that's
extreme
me.
boy. Yeah, I wouldn't say five. I mean, here's the thing: watching that game and watching what played out in that game, they looked, and I mentioned this last night on the V Drive. It's got a name, right? On the V Drive. That they looked average to me, to slightly above average across the board. And they have not looked that way for a long time.
Hmm.
When you are average at best or just above average, you don't have the playmakers and you have, new people in this critically new people in the system, like a quarterback and an offensive coordinator, your margin for error is very slim. We know this because we've been living through this. We
Sure.
know this. So all of the Clemson fans that are out there, we're not saying that the kingdom is crashing down. We're just saying that we see signs, familiar signs,
Hmm.
as Florida State fans. We see familiar signs in your program that we were witnessing a number of years ago. So
Yeah.
hold on, it could be a bumpy ride.
And before we get into Florida State specific stuff, of course, we're going to talk about the game this weekend, even though it's likely to be a pretty well in hand game. Vince, I want to bring up the Miami Texas A&M BOGO ticket deal.
Yeah.
So you
Did that make you chuckle?
yeah, so Florida State plays LSU this past Sunday. Um, Sold out crowd, setting records on ESPN for I think it was like something like almost 11 million views or something like that. And the primetime matchup, Texas A&M versus Miami, and they're having to buy one get one tickets, man. And I texted you last Saturday, Vince, when Miami was playing, and I said, "Have you seen the crowd? It's their it's their opener," and it was not wasn't impressive.
Yeah, it was not great, but it never is.
Yeah,
We shouldn't be shocked. Now we're gonna take shots at them for
yeah,
sure because that's what fans do. Garnet and Old, we're a fan-driven show. It's right in the moniker.
yeah.
And so we're gonna poke fun at fans just like they would do to us. It is not a shocker that they are having trouble selling tickets to that game. The only tickets they don't have trouble selling to are games against us. Because it's pretty much our southern. It's our beach house.
Yeah.
That's our beach house. So yeah, I don't have any. It doesn't shock me at all. But layering on top of that, the fact that we're going to do a BOGO deal.
Before we get into pregame talk, I hear you have a little bit of a story you want to tell.
Oh, you want to go to that
I
now?
want to go to it because you had me on. You kind of the little teaser pleaser before we went live, and I didn't get to hear what's going on.
So I mentioned on yesterday when I was doing the show yesterday that Madso had put out this T-shirt based on a post from social media of the director of bands talking about the war chant and how important the war chant is and how it annoys everyone that's not in the Seminole fandom.
Yeah,
And so they made a shirt about that, and all those proceeds go to the Chiefs. And so, all over social media all day yesterday, and actually even after the game, if you watch that game on TV, you heard the Chiefs laser focused,
hmm
from prior to kickoff to well into the evening, and to the point where the commentators were talking about it, it would often, be too loud for their broadcast. The Chiefs were on point, and they were, they are foundational to the brand. That's what I've been
they're
saying all
part
day.
of the iconic brand.
They are foundational to the brand. So we mentioned on this show about a month ago that we were pretty confident that the marching Chiefs were not going to be attending the Clemson game,
Mm.
and that has come to pass. And it is, I mentioned it back then. It's unacceptable, but it is the reality that we're living in right now. Um, Today, I posted something on social media to try and stoke some fires a little bit, to get a little bit of a grassroots momentum, to make sure that we as a fan base, and I'm not just talking about people that promote the Chiefs. I mean, there's a lot of those too, but I'm talking about from a Seminole fan base. If you go to an away game and you do not hear the war chant and the Chiefs aren't there, it's very different. The Chiefs aren't going to any away games save Florida at the end of the season.
Right.
So, and I'm not talking about the whole band. I'm talking about none of the band. So, to me, as a Seminole, as a chief, as a former chief, I'm very frustrated by that. But as a Seminole fan, it is a big miss from a program and a university that touts itself as having an iconic brand. The war chant is iconic, and the Chiefs playing it is iconic. So much so that the Kansas City Chiefs used the recording of the Chiefs in their stadium, and the Atlanta Braves used the recording of the Chiefs in their stadium too.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I making a longer story even longer. I put this post out, and it was almost like this is the first time people are understanding that the Chiefs are not going to Clemson. And boy, let me tell you, the floodgates,
Yeah.
the
I saw it.
proverbial floodgates opened up. And my intent of this is not to burn people or throw shade or anything like that. My intent is to try and fix this going forward.
Mm.
So within 20 minutes of that post being written and posted, I got a Facebook message from a friend of mine within the Seminole life and asked me to call him right away. And when I got this message, I felt like I was back in college. And I immediately called that number right away. And I was pleasantly surprised. Because I wanted to make sure I wasn't tweaking people, right?
Fair to say,
'Cause
Vince, that this person is a important person in their line of work.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I wanted to. There's no sense, the whole adage about you can attract more bees with honey,
Mm.
right? You can make more things happen by doing it in a positive way. I was worried that I had crossed the line.
You worried
um,
that you had sprayed the bee's nest.
it's yeah, and but the feedback I got was, you know, this is on point, and let's try to get something going here in terms of momentum. So Send Chiefs all the damn time.
Mhm.
Send Chiefs all the damn time. And what I put in my post was, let the appropriate people know that you support the Chiefs being at away games. And those people to email would be the president of the university
Mhm.
and the athletic director. Email them. Let them know how important it is. I don't care if you're a Chiefs alumni or not. When you go to an away game and you hear the war chant, you're home. You feel like you're
Mhm.
home. And the other team wonders what they did to warrant that kind of, you know, that kind of barrage
Yeah.
of intimidation. So
Mhm.
anyway, that's in a nutshell, that's what happened this morning. And I've been on social media all day today, after work,
Of course.
and trying to make sure people are directing their energy toward finding a solution to this, because there is a solution. We're not going to sit back and just say the Chiefs are never. You heard a rival band playing in Utah last week.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work. That doesn't work for me.
So, Vince, I'm going to Clemson. I'm going to be very sad if I don't hear the war chant. It doesn't sound like I will. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you are not going to hear the war chant there. Save, whoever fans there try to get it going in a haphazard way. God love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could bring a trumpet with you if you'd like. I don't know if they'll let you in with it. Maybe if it's in a clear bag, you'll be able to get it in.
Mm. That's that's frustrating. And Vince, there is something that people can do though. Tell people how they can give to the marching chiefs.
Well, I mean, there's a number of different ways, and they do a great give every year. As part of the great give, they're involved with that, and they raise a ton of money. But that's not specifically always for the Chiefs necessarily, and it's not
Mhm.
always specifically for the travel fund. There is a travel fund earmarked specifically for travel, right? And you can do that. You also can. I mean, the thing right now, Ryan, is we got a little bit of momentum going here. Email, 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 email in a positive and constructive way. Those are the words I'm using today.
Mm.
Positive and constructive way. The president of the university and the athletic director, and let them
Yeah.
know that Chiefs are foundational to the brand. Um, and it's not like I don't think they believe that. I do think they believe that. What I do believe is that they have a blind spot for this, and we need to clear that up.
100%. And hopefully it all gets worked out. But Vince, let's move on. I
Let's
think
move on.
we got a game this weekend.
We
You will
do.
not be there. You'll be attending the Georgia Southern football game. I believe your game will be concluded by the time kickoff actually starts in Tallahassee. So you'll be able to watch the game on the ACC network. Yes.
The game will be probably getting close to being done. Yeah, for sure. I think they're actually. I think Georgia Southern's favored in this game by 3 to 4 points against UAB.
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting to go. By the way, Georgia Southern looked great last week.
Yeah.
I'm expecting to go there and cheer them on to a victory. We're gonna have a 2-0 day.
Yeah. Now I will be in Tallahassee in Lot 12. So if you want and you are attending the game this weekend, come by and say hello. I'll be in Lot 12, right by the tennis courts. I might have some koozies to give away if you want a koozie. I always keep them with me, Vince, just in case. You never know when you might need a koozie.
But
Um,
you gotta have the merch with you. You never know
mm,
when someone is going to want to wear the brand.
for sure, and I'll be there all day because an 8:30 kick, which means I won't probably get back to my hotel room till 1 in the morning, which is fine because late checkout is the thing. So I'm gonna enjoy my time, Vince. What's interesting is the high that day. I think it's only like I say only it's only 89 or 90, and then kickoff time, Vince, at 8:30. The temperature in Tallahassee 79 degrees.
Beautiful. And I was gonna say, as far as tailgating is concerned, I
Mm,
believe the I, I believe the rule is the lots open up 5 hours before kickoff or no later than noon.
hmm
I believe that's
Yep.
correct. So you you better you better be making that tailgate happen from noon to 7:30, 8:30.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do the full. That's a long time, but my plan is to be parked and setting up by 2 o'clock.
Oh, okay. You're gonna roll in a little Big River around 2, huh?
Well, you have to make time to stop at Busy Bee on the way.
Oh, you're going. That's right. You're going over in the morning.
Yeah,
You're not
hey,
going
look
over
at
the night
we got a
before.
cat here in the picture.
Yeah,
Um,
cats
but
and
yeah,
dogs.
got to get some bee bits from Busy Bee on the way over to the game. It's a must, and then might go. We're trying to find a fig plant. We might go to the Tallahassee nursery and get a fig plant.
Oh,
Um, it's been a while since we've been there, so figure we make a trip. But Southern Miss, uh, decent, pretty good team in their division, and we're in the type of conference they play in. So not a good team compared to Florida State's roster by any means, but a respectable team. This is not a just the worst team in FCS, right? It's a good team.
yeah. I mean, they're not. If you remember a few years ago, we played like Savannah State one time, and it
Yeah.
was like they had a running clock during that game, right?
Hmm.
That's the kind of thing that happens in high school games. They had
Yeah.
a running clock because they were worried about too many plays and people getting hurt and whatever. So it's not that. And Southern Miss has a history with Florida State.
Hmm.
Southern Miss beat Florida State back in the late '80s with one Brett Favre at the helm. Favre,
Hmm.
Brett
Fabra.
Favre at the
Yeah.
helm.
Hmm.
So there is some history there. And actually, we played Southern Miss in a bowl game a couple years ago when
Sure did.
Odell Haggins was the interim coach. So we have some history there. I don't, other than just maybe some lack of focus stuff. I'm not really concerned about the
No, I'm
the
not concerned about
overall
that. No.
outcome of this game. Um, what I would really love to see is, you know, come in, fire on all cylinders, or at least most of the cylinders, get out to a quick lead, and let some backups get a ton of time.
Yeah, this is one of those games that screams to me 21-3 after a quarter, 35 to 10 at half, and like 55-14 at the end of the game. Like that's what this game screams to me.
Whoa,
And
say that
yeah,
again. What's the score?
55-14 at
I
the
have
end.
52-14
Yeah, so I think we're both in it because I mean, you figure, hey, we put up 45 on LSU. Now,
in a half,
I believe
pretty
Southern Miss
much.
will be running the ball a lot more than, especially in the second half in garbage time, and so will we. So there won't be that trying to score that late in the game. We're not going to be unless the other team tries to push the ball down the field, and then you kind of okay, you want to do it that way, we'll outscore you all night. But uh, I think the goals for this game is a cleanup of a lot of mistakes. Like we blew a team out, a really good team in LSU, but we made a ton of mistakes doing it. I mean, there was drops all over the field, defensive breakdown. So, if I'm a coaching staff and I'm talking to the team this week, it's all about the little things. We know we have the talent. We know we're gonna, you'll be able to do anything we want with this team. Let's focus on the small things. So, um, I fully expect it to be an easy game. I really believe that Brock Glenn and Tate Rodemaker will get playing time. I'm not sure AJ Duffy will. Um, it really depends on where they feel AJ versus Brock Glenn is. But from the practice reports, it appears Brock Glenn is better. So if AJ does play, it might be like the final two series or something like that.
Yeah, they'll probably, and if it goes according to plan, they're probably all going to play a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, so, and it will be telling on, maybe between Brock Glenn and AJ who gets more of the
Yeah,
snaps and who comes in before the other one. So that'll be very telling for sure.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I lost my train of thought there.
yeah.
But
Is there
anyway,
anyone you're looking forward to seeing, Vince, that would likely play in more so in blowout territory than they would have against LSU, like someone we haven't seen yet?
well, think about what happened in the LSU game when they had pretty much the freshman secondary in.
Yeah, got
You
torched.
saw what happened there. They got turned around and whatever. Um, we've got our freshman group in there, and LSU has still got their starters in. There's going to be a mismatch, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's how many that freshman group had a taste of a game and it went very poorly. So let's get them a ton of time. I don't know specifically about a player that I necessarily am looking to see, but just to see, because we're stacked in terms of defensive backs that are
Yeah.
very young. So the most time that they can have on the field in production reps would be
Sure.
awesome.
I'm looking forward to a lot of Rodney Hill and a lot of Hakeem Williams. I really want to see, and really Jacobs as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good point. I don't know that you're going to see a ton of Rodney Hill. I mean,
I
early
hope
on
so.
you might. Which I think what you're going to see is Keziah Holmes.
I hope so. The pronunciation when I read that name never matches what my ears hear.
Yeah, it's not the way you would spell it.
It's not Sazaziak Holmes, is what you're telling me.
No, it's not.
Mm.
It's not Wally Zerbiak Holmes. No.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Vince, pretty simple. We think this is going to be a win. Give me your score one more time. 52-14.
52-14. And that 14, they may get a touchdown in the first half. It just, the days of shutouts are, I don't want to say they're over, but they're really tough to get.
Yeah.
And I think later on, they may tack another one in. And yeah, so that's the thing there, 52-14. Send it to the bank.
Vince, do you remember the 80-point win against Idaho? Remember that?
Idaho,
game?
yeah, I do.
That was fun. That's
that
what
was
I'm hoping
fun.
for.
Not only was that a fun game, but I remember Idaho continuing to try and score, when it was, 60 to whatever it was. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know what, the game, you have a long trip back. Let's move the clock along. And I'm not saying they shouldn't try to do their best. I'm just, the inevitable was happening. So
The most memorable
Idaho.
thing from that day is the weather. I remember the weather being just gorgeous that day.
It was like we were in Idaho.
Vince, do you want to cover the NCAA declining Tez Walker?
So yeah, I mean, as far as covering it's concerned, I mean, Tez Walker from UNC had not a similar, what's the term I'm looking for? Appeal
Situation, yeah.
To the NCAA, but he had an appeal to the NCAA nonetheless in denying him eligibility. In his case, almost as cut and dry as Daryl Jackson's. And the NCAA came out today and said, nope, you're ineligible for the whole season.
Ridiculous.
And so the backlash on social media about that, I mean, this to me, this is almost like the NCAA saying, how far do we need to go to get the constituency to completely revolt and get rid of us?
Yeah.
It's like if you're in a relationship and it's over, but you're too scared to make the change yourself.
Are you trying to tell me something about our podcast, Vince?
No, not at all. So what do? You end up being a jerk. See how far you can push it to get the other person
to divorce
to
you,
pull the plug, to pull the pin.
Yeah.
I feel like the NCAA sometimes is doing that. Like, let's see how ridiculous we can be and see if that'll be the straw that breaks the back. If I were UNC, and I know there's other ramifications about this that that I don't understand at all, but imagine if they took the stand and said, we're playing them and we'll go to court for it.
Yeah.
Then what?
Do what you're going to do.
Do what you're going to do because this kid that kid deserves to play.
Yeah, Vince, I'm just waiting for two of our receivers to get like a 1-game suspension for wearing an Apple Watch uh, to the LSU game. I don't know if you saw that. That was hilarious.
I
That they
did
were both
see that.
they
I
wanted to
did
track
see
their
that.
steps. They probably had like 30,000 steps.
Well, and there was some good photoshops done of what was on the watch too.
Yeah,
So if you're looking for some funniness there from the game, you can look up that too.
Vince, are you ready to have some fun?
Let's have some fun. I love
Because
having fun.
we got football tonight. We got football this weekend aside from just Florida State stuff. So we decided to have a little fun with it here at Garnet and Old. Let's roll it. And now it's time for the Garnet and Old ACC Pick'em.
I want 20 million in 50,
20 million in 50s,
20 million in 20,
20 million in 20s,
and 10 million in 10.
and 10 million in 10s. You want any fives with that?
That's a little Chevy Chase from Vegas Vacation mixed with Rush Hour.
A little Rush Hour, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
never gets old. One of my favorite movies still of all time is Rush Hour, and all the vacation movies, of course. But we're gonna do a
a
little
little
pick'em, Vince.
a little ACC weekly pick'em
Yeah,
for the conference that that's what we do.
yeah,
That's what we do as a conference is pull in the viewership.
yeah. Vince and I decided, I think it's fun. We like picking Florida State games, and we're kind of. I mean, we watch a lot of ACC football in general, not just Florida State games. So I wouldn't feel confident necessarily doing picks for the whole country. Maybe some of the bigger games, but ACC for sure. So let's
Yeah, let's
kick it
do it.
off with one that's actually tonight, Vince.
Oh, it's true.
Look at that! Look at that line, Vince. I don't think they
Uh,
under.
yeah, I don't think they. I
They
don't
don't
think they
cover.
cover this spread.
Yeah, I pick Louisville to win, but 44 points out of Louisville. I can see this game going to be 35-14.
Yeah. By the way, Char, who is in the chat, we're going to get to your comments. So just so you know, we're going to get there. Yeah, I don't think they're
Absolutely.
going to cover here. Louisville didn't look great first game, but a lot of teams don't. So
And
yeah, I
and
don't.
any games that don't have a line, I'm not. We'll just pick the score because some of them don't have lines because
Yeah,
they're that ridiculous.
Louisville's going to win this game, but I don't think they're going to cover here. So, by the way, Ryan, are you keeping track of these so we can go back and
I certainly can.
yeah,
That'd be fun, right?
let's do that. If we had a producer, the producer would do that for us.
If you are interested, email garnetanold@gmail.com.
That's
Uh,
right.
someday. All right, Vanderbilt at Wake. So Wake by 10. So Vince, I'm actually picking an upset for this ACC pick. I'm going to pick
hmm
Vanderbilt to win this game.
I haven't watched Vanderbilt. Actually, no, I did watch Vanderbilt beat Hawaii a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
and that was a good game actually. I'm gonna go with Wake here, and I do think they cover here.
You think they cover? So I'm picking the upset.
Yeah,
My
yep,
only upset of the night.
yeah. Vanderbilt, who is known to be a Gator beater.
So the Notre Dame NC State game. So this is an interesting one. Notre Dame looked incredible, and they have looked really good. Right? I mean, what we saw so far looks good. NC State, is, I guess, yeah, fine. It looked fine. Um, I don't quite buy that it's only a 7 point or just over 7 point spread. So I'm going to take the over on this. I think Notre Dame covers. I could see this being more closer to a 10 to 14 point win.
Yeah, agreed. Notre Dame cover.
Awesome. Purdue at Tech. Enter Sandman Virginia Tech with a 3 point advantage according to Vegas. I take that all day.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. I will take them. And let's see, they cover. Yeah, I think they cover this.
It's at home. I mean, Enter
Yeah.
Sandman, the whole environment. They have a good away environment. I've never been to a Virginia Tech game against Florida State, and I would like to go. I've been
I
at
went.
home.
Yeah, I've been at home, and I've been to the ACC championship game against them in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Long ago. Enter
2005.
Sandman. Enter Sandman. Sandman's been sleeping for a while, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But I do think Virginia Tech wins this game, and they do cover.
Drew Weatherford won that ACC championship game in 2005 against Virginia Tech. We
The
uh
man
we
with the
won the
stat.
ACC with an 8-5 record. How about that?
Yes, we
Uh,
did.
all right. Holy Cross at BC. I was surprised to find a line for this, and BC should be ashamed that that is the the
Yeah,
line.
BC wins and they do not cover.
I agree. I think it's going to be one of those sloppy. It's going to be Nebraska, Western Michigan.
Yeah, yeah. BC wins, they don't cover here.
Yeah. James Madison, Virginia. Interesting. What do you think here?
Absolutely. JMU, and they're going to cover.
Here comes. I'm not going to do the whole thing,
Don't
but
do it. Don't do it.
I,
Don't.
I, I'm, James Madison will cover. It's going to be a fun game. I actually am interested in that one. There's certain
Yeah.
matchups that are fun. Charleston Southern at Clemson. There is no line. Vegas. I'm surprised about this. So with how bad Clemson looked, I think there could have been a competitive line here of 14 points or 20 points. Because what if you go out after a disappointing? We've seen Charleston Southern beat teams before. In fact, Miami. Didn't Miami lose to Charleston Southern once, or was that Florida?
No, I don't remember.
A long time
Georgia
ago.
Southern.
Yeah.
Florida lost to Georgia Southern when Georgia Southern did not throw a
But even
pass.
Charleston Southern, I think, keeps this game within 30 points.
30.
I think,
Within
yeah,
30, yeah. Clemson, they say this all the time, that the biggest improvement that a team gets is from week 1 to week 2. It's not like Clemson is devoid of talent. I mean, they have talented people on the roster. And so, they are going to win this game and they're going to win it comfortably.
Vince, I am looking forward to this one. Texas A&M at Miami. What a nightmare trash game that it is. Texas did A&M. I got fun with the actual "and" symbol there. Texas A&M. I like to cover here. I like Texas A&M in this game. I think they put up a 10-point or more win, honestly, against Miami, and Miami just goes back into the we are not that category.
Yeah, it's going to be an early shattering of the glass house
Mm.
in South Florida. There's a lot of bravado in the Miami online fandom, which is pretty much most of the fandom online. There's a lot of bravado about this game. I don't understand it. As bad as Texas A&M was last year, they're super talented.
Yeah,
And that
chock
talented
full of 5 stars.
is a year older. And what I'll say one thing, Jimbo doesn't lose to Miami very often, if at all.
Yeah, that's definitely my feeling on the game as well. Funny story, real
Slice
quick,
bread.
about Miami last week in their game. I'm watching the whole game just because it's college football early on, and they have the athletic director of Miami on the ESPN broadcast.
Dan
And
Ratkovich, who used to be at Clemson.
And they're talking about all the positive things that Miami is working on. And Vince, I was surprised by this. They said, at all in the future, even if it's a long way out, do you ever foresee a day in which you guys have a football stadium on or near the campus? He said, no, not at all, not going to happen. We're very pleased with our relationship with the Miami Dolphins and this beautiful stadium. Why wouldn't you want to play here? And at that moment, Vince, they pan out and you see 30% full stadium. It was incredible.
Not only that, but you see some of the recruit comments that were at that were at our game that were talking about how I think it was Armando Blunt, who is
They
a
want to
5-star,
play in front of fans.
Who would rather not play in front of 5 people?
Yeah. And he
That
is
hurts your feelings.
choosing between Florida State and Miami are the 2 front runners for that recruit right now.
And who knows how it plays out, right? But yeah, that's again, I saw some other, and I get involved with the social media stuff. I kind of read some stuff. I don't always interact too much, but I love to read them. It makes me laugh. One of the things I saw was Miami should have offered a 30% off ticket in honor of their IPF.
That's perfect. 50. Yeah, I like it. 50% off. That's funny. Vince, crazy line here. I'm taking the under on this. Appalachian State, for how long they have been a thorn in a whole lot of team sides, even if they don't win, they generally play games close. And I know, Drake May is the reason that this line is what it is. But I'm taking the under all day. I like North Carolina to win, but I like Appalachian State to cover.
Yeah, I think UNC's defense is better this year than they have been. I think UNC is going to cover this. I do.
Duke.
And I have to. And just because I have to be this way. App State is a nemesis, is a rival for Georgia Southern. So I'm always going to pick App State to not do so well.
So there's no line in this game. Picking Duke, pretty simple.
Yeah, you got to pick Duke here. Duke looked pretty good, and Lafayette, which is mentioned on my show or on the show last night, that Lafayette is from my hometown. Love to see them do well, but Duke is going to take care of business here in a big way.
Only 2 more to go here.
Wow,
This is
a
an
lot of
interesting
ACC
one.
teams.
Pitt, give me they'll cover. Yeah, I'll take
cover
Pitt.
this. I'm going to take Pitt on a cover here as well. Pitt's a good team.
And the last one, Syracuse, Western Michigan, under Syracuse. I just haven't been impressed so far with what I saw. I know Western Michigan looked awful against Nebraska, but that was just an ugly game, first game of the year. So I don't see Syracuse win by 24 against really anyone usually on their schedule. So I'm going to take the under.
We'll take. They will not cover this, but they will win. So Ryan, make sure you got. Of course, we can always go back and watch the show to see what we picked. But make sure we're keeping track of this. We have a couple things that we did not agree on. So.
Hey, now I think we might need to edit this avatar. But yeah, so Brock or Duffy in the next game. I'm going to say Brock Lynn. I think they both play, but I think Brock gets in first. What do you think?
I probably agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, other than that, what is there really to talk about? That it's like what we have heard in the last few months about how Brock has been accelerated his development.
Yeah,
and we've heard some good things about Duffy too, but not in that same vein. So that leads me to believe that Brock will be in the game before Duffy. Perfect,
and yes, of course. Portier, next game for sure. He's going to play this week for sure.
Yeah. So think about this, like in the game on Saturday, we get out to a pretty good lead. We want to start, weaving in some of the backups, the third team, fourth team, or whatever. And imagine the lineup, you got Rodemaker behind center, or maybe even Brock. And you look out wide and you see Vendravius Jacobs, Hakeem Williams, Winston Wright, Destin Hill. And at tight end, you've got Preston Daniel and Kyle Morlock.
That's a starting lineup for most offenses.
And in the back and the running back, you've got Keziah Holmes.
Or Rodney Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, you're screwed.
You're having a problem with that. You're definitely having a problem with that.
I know it looked this way last year at the end. I hope Tate has finally put the turnovers behind him. I think he has. I'm excited to see him play. I think the nerves are gone for Mr. Rodemaker. One thing I do want to bring up, because it's only 2 weeks away, Vince. Fishweir Brewing Company, September 16th, right there, Vince. Like, you can see it right there on your calendar. We're going to be live from Fishweir Brewing Company here in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Avondale Riverside area. We will be broadcasting live starting at 11:30 from Fishweir Brewing Company. The game is at 12. And so we're going to do a 30-minute pregame show. We are going to do about a 10 to 15-minute halftime show. And we're going to do about a 15 to 20-minute postgame show. We're going to be live with the crowd, with fans, the war chant going, the whole 9 yards. Pretty impressive setup, multiple camera angles, get to see the place. So come out and hang out with us. Gar and Old, game day live at Fishweir Brewing Company, September the 16th. And then again,
go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, October 28th, we're going to be there again for Wake Forest. We don't have a time for that yet, but Really, really excited. And please try the Garnet and Golden Ale. So last week, Vince, uh, when we had the LSU party at my house, one of our friends, Michael, and he's one good friend of mine. He actually stopped at Fishweir and picked me up a 6-pack of Garnet and Golden Ale.
That's what you do, brother. That's what you do.
He told me the day before that he had a surprise for me. I was like, oh no, because friends, you're like, what do we got? What do we got going on here?
Yeah,
But he brought it, and Vince, I can tell you, it is delicious. It's
it
very
is.
mild. It's easy to drink. Really, really great flavor. So I'm excited to have a Garnet and Golden Ale with you next weekend for the Boston College game.
Yeah, looking forward to that too. I'm just looking forward to interacting, being live with people and being able to share the Knoll joy. Share the Knoll
Absolutely.
joy.
I mean, we are Jacksonville's #1 Florida State show, wouldn't you say?
Yes, in the grand
We're
scheme
the
of
only
things,
one, I
we
think.
are. In
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things, we are, and we're doing it big all over the country, all over Duval County.
And we want to thank the owners of Fishweir Brewing Company because they're both alumni of Florida State, very passionate Florida State fans, and not just when Garnet and Old is there. Every single game day, they are doing events
A
for
watch
Florida State
party.
fans.
Yep.
So if you live in Jacksonville and you don't want to watch the game at home, you want to go just hang out with a bunch of Knowles, Fishweir Brewing Company, man, that place is awesome. Some amazing drinks, and they have plenty of TVs and a projector and a great outdoor patio. So we thank them for inviting us to come to a show there. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's happening sooner rather than later. Yeah, we're right upon it.
Absolutely. But you know what? Garnet Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. This week, another W, 2-0, Vince. 2-0.
Correct. Ryan in lot 12. Don't forget, people, if you're at the game this weekend, and I will catch you at the next one, go Knowles.
Go Knowles.